No, next year's car, I think the good point is everybody started from scratch with the new regulation. There was very little you can take over. I mean, obviously the experience in racing you can take over, but everybody started from scratch. We started about the same time as the other people, maybe a little bit before them, because we didn't do any development on this year's car. But what I would say, our guys in the beginning, when we restarted, we were not 100% because we had to build up the team again until February, March, I would say. But now we are in a good position. So I can see the progress we made in the wind tunnel with development, similarities to when we did it before, 16, 17, 18. So that makes me cautiously optimistic. What I don't know, how good the other teams are, how good they are developing. But the other positive thing is looking forward, even in the beginning, if we are not where we are, but we know that we are just then keeping up with the other teams with developing the car. So we are not like this year. We know we are not going to develop anything, and you know you will not make ground up. Next year, even if in the beginning we are not where we want to be, we have a chance to make ground up because we will be in a battle of development with the other ones, and you can look what other people is doing, and you're just in a normal year, where you always fight. This year we came in and said, hey, there's nothing more to come. It is what it is. We just need to get by, always do our best. But from the car, there will be no performance improvement because of new parts or new developments. So that makes me look forward to next year and the years afterwards as well.
Guenther, our audience are always keen on learning exactly the structure and so on and so forth of what's going on. There's a lot going on behind the scenes with Haas. And I'm thinking in terms of the building at Maranello and the restructuring in some ways, and also getting new people. You got a new chassis guy that came out of sort of Ferrari coming, taking a few people out of their system. Tell us your setup in terms of North Carolina, Italy, and even the UK.
Basically, North Carolina, we've got the administration and we have got the machine shop, obviously with Haas machines. In Banbury, there is the race team, the people which travel, and the support team which supports all the parts and the planning. It's all there, and the vehicle dynamics department is there as well. And in Italy is nothing different than from the beginning. The only thing which changed, before we had more people with Dallara, at Dallara, we have now people actually in Ferrari, which we had before because we always used their wind tunnel since the beginning. And we always had people in the wind tunnel before, but then they went always back to Dallara. But now these people are staying, we have an office now within Maranello, within Ferrari, where we have got about 70 people in total, and we have got another 30 in Dallara still. So we have got about 70 people there, and some of them, around 30 people, come from Ferrari or came from Ferrari beginning of the year, because Ferrari had to make cuts because of the budget cap. So we were pretty happy to take them on, and they are led by Simone Resta, which I don't know, he was at Ferrari chief designer, and for maybe not from the beginning, but at least he's there at Ferrari since 20-25 years. So he's got good experience, and he's leading now the technical team in Italy.
There's been a lot of talk, Guenther, about customer teams and their place in the hierarchy of Formula One. We see this evolution, and I think Haas, frankly, is leading the way in terms of dealing with your engine supplier and with the expertise that may not be on the racetrack right now, but can be helpful in pulling your team together. Is this specific to Haas, or is this the future of Formula One because of the financial restriction coming into play? Are Formula One teams going to have to reach out more to outside providers of expertise and hardware and software and so on?
I think there's more than one business model which works, Bob. But this is one which seems to be working, because when we started, I mean, we saw all the other people which started doing everything themselves, and they all went away or went bankrupt, and they never made a point. So for us, just saying we do the same but just more of it was not really a solution, because this was good people, this was not stupid people, and they couldn't pull it off because it's so complex, Formula One. So I think there is now more than one business model. Before it was just this one business model. You do everything yourself, get your head down, and keep on going until you're bankrupt, and then I think we invented a different way to do it, and some people copied parts of it. Some people didn't copy anything, and maybe some people are going to do the complete the same as us. On the way, the last 6 years, the regulation have changed a little bit, so it's not as, I would say, not as easy as we had it, because when we did it, there was no regulation for this, because never anybody had done it. So we found a lot of loopholes to do things to get quicker ready for Formula One. But they closed all the loopholes, so it's a little bit more difficult now to do it, and a more restriction in it, what you can do. But it's still, I think it's still, I wouldn't say it's a better or worse business model. It's just different, you know. There is more than one way to do this now, and that is, I would say, also normal in any other industry. You don't need to do always the same, just more of it to be better. You sometimes need to go a little bit a different way, you know, left or right, you know, and that's what we did.
Guenther, congratulations on re-signing Pietro Fittipaldi. Obviously, given he's a Fittipaldi, we claim him as our own here in the States. Obviously, a young Brazilian driver, but already has proven to you and the team that he's worthy. He's been with you guys a while. What is the hope in your mind for Pietro's future?
I don't know exactly what he's trying to get the racing program together for him for next year. And I don't know exactly where he's with that one. But Pietro was with us now, I think it's his 3rd year this year. Last year when he jumped in the car, he did a good job. So and he wanted to stay on, because with the pandemic, it's more than ever important than having somebody around, because it can happen to anybody, you know, getting the COVID. And then what you do, because in the first years we didn't have a full-time reserve driver, because we always could either go back to Ferrari and use one of them, or do something like this. But now in the moment, or since last year, I said, Pietro, you better come to all the races, because you never know when there is your opportunity. And obviously last year he came not because of COVID, because of the crash from Roman, but he filled in, and we just continue. He still enjoys to travel the world around with us. You know, he's part of the family now. So we just agreed that he puts in another year. But I hope he can find a race program, because he's eager to go racing, and in the moment with us, there is no possibility.
Well, as Jonathan mentioned, Guenther, we kind of consider Pietro Fittipaldi a quasi-American racing driver, and we're very concerned about the American market. Next year, we'll take a shot at a 23-race calendar once again, including an all-new event in Miami, Florida. As an American-based team racing under the American flag, has the Haas outfit seen any rumblings from the fans or the sponsors or the media, because another Grand Prix is coming to the United States next year in perhaps America's most diverse international city?
Yeah, I would say the rumbling started already last year in America, that the F1 gets more popular. I think it's pretty popular now, and putting on a second Grand Prix, as far as I was told, they sold the tickets out within 10 days, everything. So exactly. So it looks like it's very popular, and hopefully we have some more Grand Prix there soon as well. Because if there is a market, we need to try to fill it, because America is still, the US is still the biggest economy in the world, you know. So and if the people is interested, we need to bring the show to the people, and not only on TV. So for us, sponsor-wise, we haven't been too active, but we will be more active in trying to get into that sponsor market, because also if a sponsor is interested, they normally want to see how it develops, that it is not just a one-day sunshine, you know, that it stays there, so that it keeps on growing. But in general, it's just, and you guys experience it, there is a lot more interest from people in F1 in the States, and part of that is down to the Netflix series. They watch that, and then now they go and watch the races, which is very, very good, I think.
So turning back to this weekend, obviously everybody's glued to this, and Netflix is a good reason why, but also the championship obviously on a knife edge. Tell us a little bit about the Abu Dhabi circuit, and about, if you can, your strategy, which would be the same as any other team, Mercedes, Red Bull, the same. But how does Abu Dhabi play out as a track in terms of strategy?
I think Abu Dhabi this year, there were a few changes made to the racetrack, and you have to see how they work with overtaking. They were mainly made that there is more opportunity to overtake, which they just did at the right time, obviously with the championship at stake here. because before it was very, very difficult. It was one of the racetracks which was most difficult to overtake. But otherwise, we need to do the free practices to see how the tires works, and then we can decide on the strategy. It's too early to decide that one, how we will go. For us, the strategy this year, there was not a lot of to fight for, so we just try to keep up as best as possible to the guys in front. But I'm very interested tomorrow how the new layout works and how the driver likes it, because there is some changes. They're not really big, but they could be big enough that at least there is overtaking opportunities.
After the race in Abu Dhabi, Guenther, there will be the young driver test. And forgive my ignorance, but will Haas take part in that test? And if so, who will you have in the car?
Yeah, we will have our drivers to run with the, I call it the hybrid car, which is a 19 car with the big wheels, which we run already during the season. I think in Silverstone we ran it last, where you test the 18-inch rims or wheels with next year's tires, and then we will have one of this year's cars with the 13-inch wheels, and Robert Schwartzman, the Ferrari driver, which is in Formula 2 in the moment, will be testing for one day.
What do you hope to find out of a test like Abu Dhabi? Because again, our audience may not be familiar as to how important those tests can be. You're testing Robert Schwartzman, another Ferrari Academy driver, who obviously knows Mazepin and Schumacher, has raced against them. But what do you learn? And you mentioned the tyres, that's obviously huge. But what are you looking for from Robert, for example?
For Robert, it's more to give him time in a car that he gets used to F1, and then that's more for Ferrari. They ask us to put him in the car just to see how good he does. For him, it's just to get him learn Formula 1. So the day he will race, at least he had got some testing. He can work with a team of people to get the best out of it. But out of that car, you don't want to learn anything out of the car. It's more to give the driver a chance to do a lot of laps and to learn. While our drivers, we try to get as much data as possible from the tires we will be testing. We will be testing different compounds just to see how they react, how they feel, how stable they are, how long they keep going, how the heating cycles and all that stuff. It's just getting data for next year. So when we go testing in Barcelona in February, at least we have got some information about these tires, which we gathered ourselves and not just been given by Pirelli.
There is obviously so much going on in the off season with a new car to be built, the new tires to get used to. Is there something in your mind, Guenther, that Formula One really needs to deal with, perhaps in its rules and regulations and its on-track behavior, in its communication between race control and the teams, anything that goes into a Grand Prix race? Is there anything in your mind that's needed and needs the attention of Formula One right away during the off season?
I would say Formula One now is in a good place because it's very sophisticated, but there is always room to improve everything. I don't think there is one big thing to improve, but we can never stop to say we need to do better, because the day you say you are there where you want to be, you are behind. So there will be tweaking. For example, the sprint qualifying. There is work going into that one. How to make it that it is very interesting in the moment, but how can we even make it better for the spectator, so it's even more fun to watch or more interesting to watch. There's a lot of these little things, as you said, the communication between race director and the teams. How can we streamline that a little bit, that we are not ending up in this discussion afterwards, the hindsight discussion. Why did we not do this? We should try to prevent this so it doesn't happen, because if there is clear rules and regulations how to deal with that, you don't have this controversy afterwards. But on the flip side, if you don't have controversy, what are we going to speak about? Then it's if the world is too perfect, there's nothing to be discussed about it. So there's always pluses and minuses, but I think we always are able to create a new problem or a new controversy, even if we sort out some. So as I said, there is not one thing which we need to fix, because I think Formula One in the moment is in a good place. We got a lot of races, we got a lot of fans. We got 10 very stable teams, for a long time that didn't happen. So, but we just need to keep on ironing out the small problems.
Any special guests coming to enjoy the final race of the year with Haas Formula One?
No, not with us. We have got a lot of sponsors. We are completely full here. You know, everybody wants to come. It's a very good venue for sponsors, and most of our sponsors are European. It's not too far, and in Europe it's cold already, and here it's still warm, so nobody minds to come here. You know, and no very special guests. No.
Guenther, obviously, you being a historian and student of the sport, you're going to be as excited as we all are to see what will be one of the great showdowns of Formula One. It's, I think, 74, Bob mentioned in our last show, since ironically Fittipaldi was up for an equal points finish to the year. From your point of view, bring us inside Formula One and tell us what your take on Mercedes versus Red Bull this weekend, and who do you think will take it?
There will be a big battle about it. I think Max takes it. I think just, and people ask me why you say that. Why not? You know, I think he's in a good place. He's fighting hard, but for sure they both will be fighting for it. So, my money would be on Max.
Okay, our thanks to Guenther Steiner here on Speed City, joining us from Abu Dhabi. Let's get ready for the race, the final race of 2021.